Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Beech Grove Scouting Report. It's the second week of the fall sports season here at Beech Grove High School, and week number one got started off with a bang. We're happy to be joined by the head coach of the Beech Grove Hornet varsity football team, Mark Weller, in his second season. And, Coach, for the first time in a while, Beech Grove Hornets start the season with a win.
You know, we are extremely excited. We've worked very hard from January, actually. Had a great summer. Our kids really seem focused this year. It's a different team, and you know, our goal is to take it one game at a time, and we really focus on one play at a time, one series at a time, and be focused all the time. And you know, our kids did a great job, and it was a big moment for our team and our program Friday night.
Well, you look at the history here. As we mentioned, your second season, it's your first win since August 20th of 2010, oddly enough, versus Lutheran. There's been one winning season for this program since 2000. That was a 6-5 year in 2009. Just 4 winning seasons since '94. But oddly enough, 11 times during that 18-year span, you started the season with a win here at Beech Grove. So talk about the mindset after you guys have prepared since January, as you suggest. You work all summer with all your camps and doing your pro pad days and everything else. When you're trying to get things going in the right direction, just mentally it's huge to start the season with a W.
You know, when we talk to our kids, we really stress the mental focus and the mental concentration and the consistency and effort. And, you know, our kids did a great job Friday night, but the big thing as a coaching staff we've been concentrating on is keeping that focus and consistency this week. We've had a great week of practice, but it'll be interesting to see how we react tomorrow night. You know, Park Tudor's a very good team, has some good athletes. We need to be focused, and we'll see. Really, it'll be a good measuring stick for us tomorrow night.
Do want to spend some time talking about the 31-20 win over Lutheran. Dave Pash has been there for a number of years now. I'm very familiar with Dave in his days at North Putnam. He had some outstanding teams with the Dahlstrom kids and really laid the foundation for the success that Greg Barrett and Brian Crabtree have had there in the West Central Conference at North Putnam. Dave has had his share of success at Lutheran, and any time that you can handle one of his teams 31-20, that's a pretty good measure of your football team.
And I've known Dave and competed against Dave for a number of years. He's a good friend of mine, and we knew we'd have our hands full. They're very well coached, very disciplined team. They have a great passing attack. They're just solid all the way around. So we knew if we could play with these guys, we have a chance to have a special season.
Years ago, I had the opportunity to talk to Don Fisher, who's the longtime voice of IU football and basketball, and he told me that Bill Mallory's first year in Indiana, he said, when I left the press box after we lost our last game to Purdue, I walked out of a press box after covering an 0-11 football team. He says that I felt better about Indiana football at that time in terms of its future than I had felt since I came to IU. Of course, I think history shows that he was correct in that assessment with regular bowl appearances and Anthony Thompson, who was a runner-up for the Heisman. Did you have that feeling after the win this season last year, even though you didn't pick up a win? Did you see progress throughout the course of the season that gave you cause for optimism?
We certainly saw progress as the season went as coaches. I think if you're sitting in the stands, that may not be the case.
Oh, those where all the experts are. That's where all the experts are.
Exactly, you know? Exactly. But, you know, I knew and I know that we will build something special here. You know, we have things here that you don't have everywhere. We have a tremendously supportive administrative staff from the superintendent all the way down. The community is extremely hungry for a successful football program. Our Booster Football League, which as a varsity program we've kind of taken over this year.
Good.
Everybody is very excited, very willing to jump in and help out. And you know, the kids' attitude from January on was different. We're tired of losing here. Mm-hmm. We want to win. We want to be successful. So far, so good. And you know, this is a great place to be. Good people, great school. I had an idea that before long we were going to turn this thing around.
When we come back, we'll talk about some of the players that are making a difference for the Beech Grove Hornet football team this year. Our guest is head coach Mark Weller. It's the Beech Grove Scouting Report. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Beech Grove Scouting Report. Beech Grove head football coach Mark Weller is our guest. Of course, the Hornets getting ready for Park Tudor at Park Tudor coming up Friday night. A winner over Lutheran, week 1, 31-20. Coach, who performed well for you in that win over Lutheran?
You know, real excited about our offensive line. You know, they did a great job, led by senior Phil Lamping. They really did a nice job of setting the tone. We said we have to beat them physically first. And, you know, I think those guys did a great job, which led to Tyler Wyatt's 175 yards rushing. Trayvon Sevion was hurt a second or third series, but he was on a roll. And anytime you start getting your tailbacks in the secondary, that's all from the guys up front. You know, Zach Zollner has done a great job at quarterback. Defensively, Mitchell Mesamore, Richard Robeson. Nice surprise this year, Corey Sublett in the secondary. Defense came on strong, had a little rough start, but then once made a few adjustments and kind of focused in, they did a great job of shutting down Lutheran's attack.
Well, I'm a guy who always likes to give credit to assistant coaches. If your guys up front did the job, talk about your offensive line coach.
Brian Grismore is a guy that we are extremely lucky to have. Has great experience, coached at Pike for a number of years, you know, has that big school experience. He does the best job of anyone I've ever seen of taking raw kids and catching them up fundamentally. You know, the kids love him, he's demanding, but they have fun over there, and he does a nice job of building a kind of team unit within a team.
I think the most inaccurate label that's ever been placed on offensive and defensive linemen is the fact that those are quote-unquote unskilled positions. I mean, to do that and do that well takes as much skill as it takes to be a good quarterback, a good wide receiver, a good running back.
Absolutely. The first thing, you know, we stress with our linemen, as does any program, are feet. Feet, you know, good feet, lateral movement, you know, the agility that they have to have, and that's exactly right. We really stay away from the term skilled and unskilled kids. We call them big guys and skinny guys. And our big guys have come a long way.
Once upon a time in the leather helmet days, back when you and I were younger, your summertime consisted of coming in, lifting weights, doing a little conditioning, and that was basically it. Now, you know, pretty much helmet and shoulder pads, pro pads on a consistent basis. Bishop Dullahan camp, down in Dirty Lineman camp, team camps at IU and other schools and places like that, puts a lot of pressure on programs because with all of the teams that are doing that, you too have to do that in order to be successful. What was the attendance like, and what was the summertime like for Beech Grove, and did that lay the foundation for the success in week 1?
We had great attendance, great work ethic all summer long. But like I said, we've been at it since January with the conditioning and the weightlifting, which we put a ton of emphasis on. But I think the real turning point for us, we took our team to Franklin College's team camp this year. Mm-hmm. We had our offense and defense installed really week 1 of the summer, and had a chance to build some camaraderie and some, you know, team spirit, and actually go up against 5A schools, Zionsville being one. So it was a great way to start the summer, and I really think it made a difference in our program moving forward.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the opponent for this week, Park Tudor, take a look at the rest of the schedule. Pretty tough conference the Beech Grove Hornets are in. Our guest is Mark Weller, the head coach of the Beech Grove Hornets. This is the Beech Grove Scouting Report. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Beech Grove Scouting Report. I'm Mark James. Mark Weller, the outstanding head football coach at Beech Grove High School, is our guest this week. And Coach, Park Tudor, the opponent on Friday night, Orlando Lowry in his first season after a good friend of ours, Scott Fisher, stepped down at the end of last season. And after having coached at Monrovia, we scrimmage Park Tudor every year. Not a classier guy than Scott Fisher. Orlando Lowry is an outstanding head football coach, as we mentioned, in his first year. Kind of important. You're starting the season with a couple of conference opponents. Now, the 31-20 win over Lutheran. We mentioned in our opening comments. It's been a while since you've won a football game. So, what have you done to keep those kids hungry and not be satisfied with this win? Because there is a danger of that, especially after an 0-10 season.
That is the thing. You know, I think as a staff, we are concerned most about. You know, we've been stressing all year consistency and effort and concentration. As a staff, we've tried to make this one of our toughest practice weeks moving forward. The kids have responded well, but you never know till the Friday night lights come on. So I think, you know, we're as prepared as we can be, but we really need to show up. They're a dangerous opponent.
Speed on the edge, from what I understand, is probably their biggest asset.
Very quick on the edge and just a tremendous quarterback. The kid's got a strong arm, and the thing that probably scares me more than his arm are his feet. He's a kid who can make plays with his feet, and so not only do you have to worry about covering guys, you have to worry about containing the quarterback.
Now, looking at the rest of your schedule, your conference schedule alone, you got Speedway, you got Cecina, Ritter, Heritage Christian. All of those teams have gone very, very deep into the tournament over the past several years. A couple of them have state championships. Triton Central went into a semi-state a year ago against Evansville Mater Dei. You don't get too many weeks off of this conference.
There are no weeks off in this conference. And, you know, I tease the coaches at our conference meeting, you know, this is a really tough conference to rebuild in. But I'm also a firm believer. I kind of take that old school parochial view, and I did as at Garin Catholic as head coach.
Sure.
You know, the tougher the regular season schedule, the better prepared you are for tournament time when it really counts.
Yeah, and that tournament, I mean, Batesville, Brown County, Greensburg, Edgewood, Indian Creek, and Rushville, I would say your conference schedule alone prepares you for a very tough sectional 22.
It really does. It really does. You know, the teams we face week in, week out, you know, are top notch across the state. So when it's tournament time, you know, we've had those big games. We know what it's like to play top notch competition.
Is everybody healthy?
Right now, we're in pretty good shape. Trayvon Sevion, who went down second or third series, we were concerned of a broken collarbone, ended up just being a sprained AC joint, which was tremendous news. Vikash Patel had a great game at corner, had a big interception for us, has done a tremendous job all year. We hurt his knee and had the MRIs and so on, and relatively good news, he'll be back in a few weeks, so it's not a season-ending injury. But other than that, we seem to be in pretty good shape. We
always told our kids, you know how you feel after a loss, you know how you feel after a win. Just keep winning, boys.
That's exactly right. We talked about that. We talked about all summer long. That Friday night, if it comes out our way, you will not have had a feeling like that in your lives, and our kids haven't experienced that. And I think that came true, and we've talked about all week keeping that feeling going. So I think we're on the right track.
300 and some odd schools play football in the state of Indiana. Only half of them are still undefeated. Beech Grove's one of them. Hope to keep it that way Friday night.
Thank you, Mark.
That's Mark Weller. He's the head football coach here at Beech Grove. They'll travel to Park Tudor Friday night. They'll be back with us next week. That's all for now. I'm Mark James. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Beech Grove Scouting Report.